What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Skookum Living. Today we got another fun project down here in the shop. A viewer asked if I would make them a fire table that they could have on their porch so they could have dinner parties and the sun just kind of leaves their deck right when they want to have dinner. So they wanted a little bit of heat source, so what better way to do that than a fire table. They wanted it to fit 8 people, so of course I'm going to make it into an octagon because that's my favorite shape. I want to make it look like it's a concrete table, but it's up on a deck, and so it can't be that heavy, so I'm going to make it a faux concrete, and we're going to cover the whole thing in epoxy. So I think the first step is just to make the big octagon that'll fit the 8 people. We'll cut a ring in the middle, and then we'll start to figure out how we're going to make this burner and the stand and everything that goes along with it. So let's just make ourselves an octagon. Let's do it. So to make sure it's big enough, I'm going to make it 5.5 feet across the lengthways of the octagon. That way each person has enough room to eat. They can put some other things on the table and pile in the middle. So I'm going to use this straight edge to make sure that I get a nice clean straight cut. Clamp these in place with some clamps. Whoopsie daisy. So we could do all the measurements and figure it out and figure the angles and whatnot, but they have an octagon calculator on the internet, so we're just going to use that. So I have the center point marked out on this, so I have an X to know where the square is. And so now I'm just going to find out what the length of each side is. It's 27.34 inches, 27 1/3. Let's just do that, 19 1/3 inches. 19 5/16 about. Close enough for this. And because this is a 45, and that comes to a pyramid point, I can just line that up, and it should be square, if I did it right, which I think I did. So that can be the bottom. Yep. It's the door for the propane. Yeah. It's got hinges. Lovely. time to give it some instant patina. Alright, now I got a wire brush to wipe off the chard. Time to add some character to this table. I got this feather finish. It's a floor finishing compound. Basically, it's just a really thin cement that I'm going to use, trowel it on, kind of like drywall plaster, but it looks like cement. So, I'm going to use some of this. We got the burner all sweat fit and a bunch of holes drilled around it, 1.5 inches apart. Hooked up to propane, or hooked up to the regulator. Little low pressure barbecue regulator. Never done this before. I am not a piping specialist. This is just an experiment. Hopefully I don't explode. Oh! There's fire! That's dope. What happens if I turn up the gas? More fire. Well, that's awesome. Time to finish off the tabletop, assemble it all, and then we can deliver. Boom! So this feather finish, it tends to scratch or gouge, and it's really made to be covered up with something else. It's actually a filler. It looks pretty, but it's not all that strong. So today we're going to be using this envirotex resin epoxy coating for tabletops and bars and whatnot, and we're going to give the whole thing a nice glassy finish. So this stuff gets mixed 1-to-1, so I know that I need quite a bit of it, so I got some of these Dixie cups to help me measure. It's good to have some of these in the shop so you don't have to worry about messing up a good cup. So this stuff takes several hours to dry, so make sure you don't need to use your workshop after you pour it. Don't want to get a bunch of dust in this stuff, that'd be a bummer. Oh yeah, that's great. So I saw some hardware cloth in there because I wanted to hold the rocks up so I didn't have to fill the entire thing with rocks because that would be a pain in the butt. So now I can install my little doohickeys that I made. Okay, the way that this one works is you open the door, turn on the propane just a little bit, get your barbecue lighter, and you got fire. Alright, it is finished. It is now in place. They have a beautiful spot to eat dinner, looking out over the bay here in Haines, Alaska. The rocks are all in the middle. It's glassy, the epoxy is dry. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much.